The maintenance worker noticed at first a faint, sweet smell, like overripe mangoes mixed with metal, coming from the presidential office's air conditioning vent. Jacques Compère had been cleaning the palace estate for 11 years. He knew every sound, every smell, every shadow in these halls. And this smell didn't belong. What he did next saved President Ibrahim Traoré's life and exposed an assassination plot so sophisticated that investigators would later call the invisible death. Because for 23 days, someone had been slowly, methodically pumping poison into the president's office through the air conditioning system. The dosage was calculated to kill not in hours or days, but in exactly 30 days, making it look like a natural illness. Traoré had already been breathing it for 3 weeks. He had 7 days left to live, and he didn't even know he was dying. Jacques Compère wasn't supposed to be there that morning. He usually cleaned the executive wing on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but his colleague Samuel had called in sick, and Jacques needed the extra hours to pay for his daughter's school fees. As he pushed his cart down the marble hallway, the wheels squeaking slightly in the pre-dawn silence, he was thinking about nothing more than finishing quickly and getting home before the morning traffic. But when he opened the door to the president's office and that strange smell hit him, every instinct from his previous life kicked in. Because before he was a janitor, Jacques had been a chemical engineer, trained in Paris, until a political dispute had cost him his career and reduced him to pushing a mop for survival. He knew that smell, not exactly, but close enough, during his training. He had worked with organophosphates, the family of chemicals that included everything from pesticides to nerve agents. This smell had that same underlying signature, sweet but wrong, natural but synthetic. His first thought was that maybe something had died in the ventilation system, a rat or bird. But as he moved closer to the president's desk, directly under the main air vent, the smell grew stronger and more distinctive. This wasn't decay. This was chemistry. Jacques faced a dilemma. If he reported this and was wrong, he would lose his job, possibly face accusations of trying to create panic. A janitor claiming the president was being poisoned. They would laugh at him, or worse, suspect him. But if he was right and said nothing, he thought of President Traoré, the only leader in his lifetime who had stood up to foreign exploitation, who had given people like Jacques hope that Burkina Faso could be more than a source of cheap labor and raw materials. The decision was made. Instead of reporting it through normal channels, Jacques did something that would later be credited with saving the president's life. He went directly to his nephew, Antoine Savadogu, who worked in the palace's medical unit. Antoine was young, just 28, but he had something valuable, a degree in toxicology and the latest chemical detection equipment that had been purchased just months earlier as part of upgraded security protocols. Antoine hesitated. If they tested the president's office without authorization and found nothing, they would both be arrested. Jacques replied grimly, "And if we don't test and the president dies?" Antoine agreed, and together they snuck into the office. The first reading from Antoine's portable mass spectrometer made him gasp. Dimethylmethylphosphonate, a precursor to sarin gas, but modified, buffered to slow its effect. The concentration was highest near the president's desk, directly under the air vent where Traoré would spend hours each day, slowly breathing in death. At this concentration, with prolonged daily exposure, the poison would kill in about 30 days. It would look like a mysterious illness, probably blamed on stress or an unknown tropical disease. By the time symptoms became severe, it would be irreversible. They needed someone trustworthy. They went to Captain Beatrice Yamiogo, the only female member of the president's security detail, promoted by Traoré himself. When shown the evidence, she immediately activated Protocol 9, sealing the executive wing. She personally warned the president not to enter his office. In a secure room, Traoré listened calmly as the findings were explained. He noted the poisoning had begun the day after he expelled French financial advisors. Blood tests confirmed organophosphate exposure. Doctors insisted treatment must start within 48 hours, but Traoré ordered first, "Find out who did this." The investigation began quietly. They discovered a forged work order for an emergency repair in the air conditioning system, signed under a false name. Security footage for that period had been wiped. A technician named Paul Bankungu was identified but had fled, leaving behind an ampoule of the compound in his apartment. Then, Using a hidden backup security system, investigators identified someone shocking: Deputy Minister of Interior Michel Sandaogo. He had supervised the operation personally. His lifestyle revealed unexplained wealth and links to Constellation Mining, the same French company Traoré had recently defied. Traoré devised a trap. At a cabinet meeting, he announced a security breach in the air system, but claimed it was discovered before exposure. Watching carefully, he saw Sandaogo's hand clench slightly. Placing him in charge of investigating his own crime allowed security to monitor his every move. Soon, Sandaogo made a call to Abidjan requesting extraction. He was arrested at 3 a.m. Evidence in his home confirmed the plot and revealed an even deeper conspiracy: an organization called Restoration, working with French interests to return Burkina Faso to client state status. Traoré acted with surgical precision, arresting conspirators quietly to avoid triggering international intervention. On October 20th, 1 month after the poisoning began, he held a press conference in the same office. Standing under the replaced air vent, he declared, "For 23 days, I breathed poison in this office. They thought they were being invisible. But they forgot something. Burkina Faso watches together." The plot's exposure shook Africa. Nations adopted the Traoré Protocol, chemical sweeps of government offices. Jacques, the janitor who first noticed a smell, became a national hero and head of a new chemical security division. Captain Yamiogo was promoted to general, leading a Pan-African intelligence network. The poison was a masterpiece of evil chemistry, designed to leave no trace after 30 days. If Jacques hadn't noticed that faint sweet smell, if Antoine hadn't acted, Traoré would have died silently. The world now knew how far neo-colonial powers would go. But the failed assassination became a symbol of resistance. Each October 9th, Burkina Faso commemorates Vigilance Day, teaching that sometimes a janitor saves a president, and sometimes that's exactly how revolutions survive.